I've been away traveling for work, so I've not posted for the past couple of weeks. And in the past couple of weeks, it's been interesting just to see what's been going on in the world. And my last video talking about where I saw everything going has only sort of confirmed, or been confirmed, shall we say, by the way the world is unraveling. And it's not looking good. And I don't think it's a question of if it's going to get worse. It's just a question of when it's going to get worse and how quickly it's going to get worse. I don't think it's going to get worse quickly straight away. This is going to be a slow, drawn out situation, and I still stand by what I said, which is that at the very minimum we have 1 year before the shit hits the fan, and at the very most you have 2 years before the shit hits the fan. So I can only reiterate what I was saying, which is that get out of the mainstream cities, get out of the systems, get out of the infrastructure of what we're all so used to, right? You know, I lived in London. I grew up in London, and London is sort of a perfect example of only having 5 days of food in its sort of supply. So if the food trucks were to stop delivering to London today, London has about 5 days of food on the shelves before there is no food left. And so with what we're seeing happening in the world with Iran and with the war, the global war, which is fundamentally what it is, it's not just an isolated situation. The whole world will be dragged into it. We are going to be thrown into a collapsed state. I think it's just the only way that I can describe it. The food is going to become harder to grow because fertilisers are going to be less available. Petrol costs will go up, so that means farmers won't be able to run their tractors, or it's going to cost them more to run their tractors. And already around the world, farmers are talking about how expensive it is to run a farm, to sort of grow food. So it's going to get really serious, guys. It's going to get really serious, and it's why I urge you, get out of the cities, and if you're and try and get to some kind of piece of land in nature, and seriously start planting food. Start by just getting some food from the supermarket, you know, some tomatoes, pull your seeds out the tomatoes, get some potatoes, throw the potatoes in the soil, order some seeds online, and really start growing food, which is what our grandparents or our great-grandparents did. They grew food. And I want to sort of use World War II as an example, right? If we look at World War II and we look at history and we look at what happened when World War II happened, there were food shortages, there was food rationing, and that's factoring in where countries were growing food within the country and providing that food to the citizens. And also people were growing food in their gardens. People were far more used to sort of being self-sufficient. People had a little allotments that they would grow their fruit and vegetables. And now we live in a system, a globalist system, a globalist market where the UK buys its cucumbers or its tomatoes from the Netherlands. They buy their oranges from Spain. They get their avocados from South Africa or South America. And so all that's going to change. And countries will return to being, in a sense, nationalistic by the simple fact of they will be providing for their citizens. They will no longer be importing and exporting in the same way that they have done over the past 80 years or 70 years since the end of World War II. So when this food collapse happens, and we use World War II and we look at history for examples, we realize that there was challenges then. You know, the system was strained then, but the system will be so much more strained because we are not self-sufficient, we are not self-reliant, not just as individuals, but as a country. And so, again, I sort of bring up these examples to urge you to really think about how the system is run, how the system will affect you, how it will affect your family, if you have children, if you have siblings, parents, how it will affect your loved ones. And so I don't want to say these things to just like go on YouTube and fantasize and like say something that's clickbait. I'm saying this stuff as a warning. I'm saying this stuff as, you know, I see this happening, and that's why I've taken the steps that I've taken to leave the UK, to buy what little I could afford, and I've been working diligently and saving up, and really, you know, it's been, I'll be honest, it's been quite tough. The past 2 years I work in the film industry. That's my profession, and the film industry has really suffered and struggled since COVID and since the writer strikes, and it's been very sort of feast and famine. And the past 2 years I literally have had like the worst years of my career. Like, even before, when I started as a runner back in the day, I think I earned more money as a runner back in the day than I did 2 years ago. And so for me, I've been freaking out the past 2 years, but it's been a real awakening and a realization as to what's happening. You know, these markets are fragile, and it forced me to think really seriously about getting out of London, because I just couldn't afford to pay rent in London. And so that's why I say, you know, I literally have been saving up for the past sort of 2 years, and I've been side hustling, and literally, like, I learned to make clothes, right? That was like I had this sort of like weird awakening, spiritual awakening, when it came to making clothes, very much through taking microdosing psilocybin. I discovered that I had a creative outlet to be able to sew, and so I've literally been making trousers, selling trousers to people, tailor-made trousers, and that was sort of like my little side hustle to make a load of money on the side when I wasn't working. And I sold a lot of stuff that I had. I had a camera, like a film camera that I bought pre-COVID, and I sold that, and I made a little bit of money on that, and all of that money I took and I bought some land here in Bulgaria. And I'm just using me as an example, because I can't really talk about your circumstance or somebody else's circumstance, because I'm not you, or I'm not somebody else. But I'm just trying to paint for you the picture of, it's been difficult. I'm very blessed. I give thanks to God. I give thanks to all of the people that have positively affected me in my life, employed me, helped heal me, helped put me on the right path, because I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for all these people. But that's why I want to be able to communicate this to you, because I don't want you to be in a difficult situation. I want you to be in a situation where you're in control of your reality as much as possible. And like I say, it's going to get more difficult. It's going to get more challenging. And I really want you listening to be able to survive what is going to come. And what's going to come is going to be a radical catastrophe and a radical change. And sadly, a lot of people will suffer, and a lot of people will be forced into a specific direction that does not positively affect them. And so, like I say, I don't want to get on YouTube and post these kind of videos just to kind of create content to be clickbaity, or to be talking about stuff in some sort of strange way. I just want to say this because I'm seeing this and I'm calling this out. And like I say, if you have land, please start planting some veggies, some potatoes, pull the seeds out of your pumpkins, put them in the soil, and learn to be self-sufficient. Get some chickens if you can. If you can get some livestock, do it. That's my plan. That's what I'm planning on doing here. And I've literally, like, as soon as I got back from my job, I've been planting seeds. I've been non-stop planting seeds. I've been getting the soil ready, which is what I did before my job. And I really hope that things do get better, but I don't think realistically they're going to, because there's too many interests that don't want things to get better. And I don't want to start getting into the sort of the minutiae of why it's happening, whether it's, you know, the American political system is trying to hide the Jeffrey Epstein files, or America is trying to maintain its power as a dying empire, or whatever it is. It doesn't really matter really as to why it's happening. All we know is that it's happening, and Iran, America are at each other, with Israel involved as well. And so fundamentally it doesn't really matter when it comes to sort of like pointing the finger or choosing sides. What matters is that you're safe, you're in control of your food, and you have a level of freedom which you won't have if you cannot eat. Because food is really simple. If you can't eat, you become desperate. And when you become desperate, you or other people will resort to doing things that you never thought you would do. And I don't want to get, again, extreme or clickbaity about this, but people when it comes to it, and when I'm not saying this is going to happen straight away, but if there was a complete societal collapse, which I don't think there will be fundamentally, I think there's too many interests involved, so to speak, but people will resort to eating each other when there's no food, and it's been weeks and weeks and weeks. People will literally eat each other to survive. So at that point, everybody's just in God's hands, and fundamentally this experience is just a big test anyway. It's all a big virtual reality co-creation experience that we're here choosing to vibrate whatever it is that is uniquely within us, and all serves, right? All is part of God's creation, serving the creation, experiencing itself. So anyway, my brothers, my sisters, I hope you're doing well wherever you are in the world. I hope that God is blessing you. I hope that God is helping you to see what is the truth and what is there. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just a guy on YouTube seeing things in a sort of strange way, waffling on. But if not, and if this resonates with you, I hope that this can help in some way. Anyway, I leave you all in the love and the light of the one infinite creator, and I send you lots of love and lots of blessings.